Welcome to the overview of the Certified Wireless Auditor training for Wireless Service Management Standard, which is aligned with the ISO IEC 20000 IT Service Management. The Certified Wireless Auditor training focuses on the Wireless Service Management System, which is a subset of the ISO 20000 framework, and focuses on wireless technologies only. So wireless covers mobile, cellular, Wi-Fi and proprietary installations, which can be done indoor or outdoor. But typically organizations are now relying on wireless technologies, so they become business critical and sometimes mission critical. So these implementations and deployments need to be audited to see if they follow a certain design standard and a security standard as well. So that's where the ISO 20000 and also the 27000 standard comes into the picture. To become an auditor, there are different type of levels. You can be following a training and have done not any audit yet. That means you can become a provisional auditor for internal purposes or for external purposes to audit customers. If you have experience auditing organizations, again, there is an internal auditor and an external auditor certification. And if you want to become a lead auditor, then you have to do several audits for different type of customers. You speak with C-level type of persons in an organization and showing that you really can audit across the international standards. So what is actually ISO 20000 ITSM standard? It was developed by the British standard BS 15000 by the BSI group a long time ago in 2005, and quickly it became an ISO standard already, the ISO 20000 that time. Actually, the ISO 20000 is aligned with other frameworks as well. A lot of people have heard about ITIL, Information Technology Infrastructure Library. Some people have heard about Microsoft Operations Framework, MOF. And there is a third framework, which is ISACA COBIT, Control Objectives for Information and Related Technology. These are different type of frameworks. But all of these type of frameworks actually evolve back into the international standard, which is the ISO 20000 standard. In 2011, the standard was revised, and also the Code of Conduct was revised as well in 2012. So as mentioned earlier on, the ISO 20000-1 is the standard, and the ISO 20000-2 is the Code of Conduct. That's actually the guideline from how you need to implement the standard. So the revised version in 2011 exists out of 5 sections. They start at Chapter 4, so Service Management System General Requirements, Design and Transition of New or Changed Services, Service Delivery Processes, Relationship Processes, Resolution Processes, Control Processes. So there are 5 sections, but it covers a lot to do the management of a whole organization for the IT services. So it includes 22 controls as well. In the triangle, you see actually the relationship between the other frameworks I mentioned earlier. So COBIT, ITIL, but other frameworks like Six Sigma, CMMI, or quality management standards all go into the ISO 20000 standard, which you see in the picture. So the IT Service Management System covers a lot. All those 5 chapters we saw earlier on are covered here in this picture as well. So you have to deal with customer requirements and service requirements. Then in the middle you have the whole service management system, which means how does an organization actually delivers a service to their customers? What are all the processes involved in it, and what are all the technical components involved in it to manage it end to end to provide good services to the end users? There's another way how to explain this. This is a slide from Gartner, which we use actually since 2006 already, because it gives a very good overview how to manage services. And in a way you can align it with the ISO 20000 as well. So that means if you're a level 0 organization, you're basically not under control in your organization, providing services to your end users. So it is ad hoc, undocumented, multiple help desk, unpredictable. Customers are calling your organization. I cannot connect to the wireless network. So it's really impacting you as an organization. Now, if you started to implement some processes already, you move already to level 1, but still it is very reactive. You're still fighting fires. You initiate problem management processes, so you can take calls of the customers. You probably have a single help desk so that all the calls come centrally into the organization. But you only monitor the availability, up and down management. Your access point is up or your access point is down, or your service is up and down, and so on. So very basic management. If your organization reaches level 2, then it is proactive, and it can monitor the performance, it can analyze trends. You can actually predict when the wireless network is going to collapse or not, or you don't have enough capacity. You can actually predict problems. You have a mature problem configuration and change management process in place. You just don't update the firmware of all your wireless access points, but you follow a proper change management process and a release management process to put those changes into the production environment, so that the customers are not affected too much. So proactivity is very important. You can actually call the customer to tell them from, hey, there's something going on the wireless network, and you will expect some service degradations or service interruptions. So if your organization is level 3, then you provide different type of service classes and different type of pricing. So to give a good example, maybe for a Wi-Fi network, the organization provides 300 Mbps to a certain customer, which pays a lot of money for this 300 Mbps connection. And the organization also provides 1 Mbps connections, which are of course cheaper, and people pay less money for that. Now the challenge is, how do you guarantee an SLA, a service level agreement, to these type of customers? And as most of you know already, the moment you walk away further down from the wireless access point, or you come into a high density area, it is very difficult to guarantee an SLA to your end user. Okay, so monitoring and report of these services is important. It will be good if you can do your reporting to your end users. And capacity planning is also a major one, because it is not so easy to increase the capacity of your wireless network on the next day. Typically it takes a few months before you can increase the capacity. So what you see in level 3, that are typically the ITIL related processes for the IT service management. It doesn't mean that all those processes are integrated. That can be individual processes established in the organization. Now, if you reach level 4, then your organization need to think about ISO 20000 type of services, which is very, very hard to achieve. That's why not many organizations are ISO 20000 certified, because it need to look into the business process improvements. It need to have all the different processes integrated as one complete organization. So that means that your whole organization need to be aligned, and typically for very large organizations that's sometimes a challenge. ITU, International Telecommunication Union, they set also standards similar as the ISO standard organization, and these are the so-called ITU.X standards. Now, if you look to the ITU, you also need to understand the National Wireless Broadband Master Plans and auditing requirements which they put along. This was presented in Bangkok in year 2013. You see that 4.4 billion people remain unconnected. Okay, 40% of the world is now online, has 1.1 billion people online. Okay, so almost the whole world is now within the reach of mobile cellular service. But for rural areas, that doesn't mean that people have a connection. And some countries don't have any connection at all. So there's still a lot of work to do to get people to get access to ICT, so that there is a balance between the poorer areas and the richer areas, so that everybody has access to this ICT type of services. Now, the fastest way to do that is by deploying wireless networks. If you want to learn more about ITU's vision for Asia Pacific, because there is a lot of development going on in this region, you can actually go to the website, which is indicated on this slide, where Dr. Hamadoun Touré, the Secretary General of the ITU, explains his vision, how to enable ICT in the world. Other documents are available. This is one for the Asia Pacific region, the guidelines of preparation of a national wireless broadband master plan, from how we utilize wireless networks in the region. Also online at the ITU you can find some ICT standards, and there are basically two organizations which do develop standards. So that's basically the ITU and the International Organization for Standardization, ISO, and the IEC, International Electrotechnical Commission. The other organizations also are involved in international standards like the IATF, OASIS, 3GPP, and so on, IEEE as well. And there are regional standard development organizations like ATIS, ETSI, and so on. So what are our credentials and track records in IT service management standards related to wireless services? So in 2004, together with two other organizations, Globeron, EPI, and the Center of IT Service Management, we actually helped the first organization in Southeast Asia to obtain ISO IEC 20000 ITSM standard. Okay, it was a customer which was government-related organization to manage their network services and data center services. Also in 2008, our organization has the only certified IRCA, International Register of Certificated Auditors, for the ISO 20000 ITSM standard. In 2005, we adopted CWMP as first learning partner in Singapore, and basically for whole APAC, Southeast Asia, North Asia, and we set up the business for wireless training, which in this case is Wi-Fi related. Also, we are a member of several international organizations, ITSMF, IT Service Management Forum, ISACA, which is security related, the IRCA, which is auditing related, BICSI, the Building Industry Consulting Services, IC Square, security related, CWMP Wireless, and GIAC, which is security related as well. This is important because all those frameworks have a link to each other. ITU. So with ITU in 2014 they engaged us to do wireless education for several governments and telco operators in the APAC region. And here are all our other certifications. So the memberships I mentioned already, but we have also certifications in IT service management. That includes the ISCA ISO 20000 and also the ITIL, the IT Infrastructure Library, version 2 and version 3. Security management in for several organizations, wireless certifications since the beginning, where Wireless Sharp was still active as well, all the way up till CWNE, Certified Wireless Network Expert level. And we have data center related certifications under BICSI, CSOAP, Certified Service Oriented Enterprise Professional, which covers data center, infrastructure, processor, security and management. This is important to understand for any wireless networks to be audited, to understand the other disciplines as well. Wireless and data centers have a relationship because in the end services are nowadays managed via the cloud. So a lot of wireless type of equipment is inside the data center, and for scalability reasons and legal reasons there are some alignments to be done. So I hope this gives you a quick overview of the Certified Wireless Auditor training for wireless service management standards.